Okay, so here we go, continuing our story. Uh, God is finished with Moses, and now we switch scenes, and now God is going to be talking to Aaron. So, any questions?
Well, the question I just gave you.
Which is,
Second line, first word. How do you
okay,
say it?
Hamidbara.
Mibara.
Hamidbara.
Midbar.
Hamidbar is the wilderness. The I at the end tells us that this is a directionality towards the midbar, or usually translated as to the midbar, but it's really more of a heading towards rather than actually going to. Otherwise, it would be Bamidbar or La Midbar, in the wilderness or to the wilderness. Here, Hamidbara is the toward the wilderness. So
So the
Hamidbar.
emphasis is on the ba. I was thinking it was Hamid Bara.
Yeah, I mean it's but the word again is Hamidbar, and then the directionality. So
Right.
Hamidbara, or
Bara.
the wilderness word,
How did you know to put the emphasis on the ba instead of the ra?
because the midbar is the root word.
That's why you put it on the ba?
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay.
in this case.
Okay.
So
That's it.
Vayomer Adonai El Aharon Lech Likrat Moshe Hamidbara Vayelech Vayifgeshehu Bahar HaElohim Vayishak Lo. So way back when, God says to Moses, look, Aaron's coming. Go talk to him, tell him what's happening, make him your spokesperson. And then God goes back to Moses and says, now look, do this, do this. Here's some signs, here's some miracles, here's some magic tricks. Now go, head towards Egypt. And we have that whole little encounter between Moses and Zipporah and the bridegroom of blood and all sorts of things. And all of a sudden we're back at, and now God says to Aaron, so Vayomer Adonai El Aharon. So Yud He Vav He Y says to Aaron, Lech, go, Likrat Moshe, to greet Moshe. Hamidbara, toward the wilderness. So head off. Moses, God said, go towards Egypt. Now Aaron, he says, go towards the wilderness. Vayelech, and he went. So lech, go. Vayelech, he went. Vayifgeshehu, the pagash is always a meeting, an encountering word. And so by bagash, pagash is the root. Vayifgash is and he met. So vayelech vayifgash, he went and he met, or he encountered. And vayifgashehu, he encountered him. And as is typical in the Torah, lots of pronouns with, at best, context indicating what the antecedent of the pronoun is. So Vayelech, he went, Vayifgeshehu, and he met him. He encountered him. Bahar HaElohim, in the mountain of the gods. And that was way back at the beginning of this story when Moses goes up to the mountain of the gods. And we had two different ways that Moses encountered God. One, Moses went to Moses went to the mountain of the gods, which is the red story. And the other is he's chasing a lamb, an errant lamb, and he comes across a burning bush. And the two stories together made it sound like the bush at the mountain of the gods was the burning bush of the encounter, but they were two separate stories. In the encounter, he goes to the mountain of the gods and he comes across the God bush or whatever. Now, after having left the mountain of the gods to go towards Egypt, he's suddenly back at the mountain of the gods. So we're not quite sure all of the different elements that became the red story that were written down, whether there were several different strains of the story and all ended up being put together. But if you follow the text and try to really create a play on this. You've got Moses bouncing back and forth between places. But Aaron comes to the mountain of the gods, Bahar HaElohim, Vayishach lo, and he kissed him.
What is lo, the him?
To him, right. He planted a kiss to him. But who kissed whom?
Yes.
Mhm.
But at least they're not biting each other
Right.
like some brothers.
So, Rabbi, a question here. Before it was that he approached him as one word. Would he have done he kissed him as one word too?
No, here it's Vayishach, and he kissed lo to him.
But in the word above, he approached him. You see
Yes,
that?
then the who is, you could have had it, for example, Vayishaku.
Okay. That's what I wanted. Okay.
But here it's a more active, Vayishach lo.
Okay.
Also, possibly for making sure we have the punctuation planted. Vayomer Adonai el Aharon, lech likrat Moshe hamidbara, vayelech vayifgeshehu bahar haElohim, vayishak lo.
Now, isn't lo also no?
Yeah, that's
No,
right.
lo with an aleph would be no.
Oh.
Lo is always to him or some kind of object pronoun. So he kissed him. Somebody kissed somebody. 28. Vayaged Moshe la'Aharon et kol divrei Adonai asher shalacho ve'et kol ha'otot asher tzivahu. So Vayaged, this is our word for telling, as in the Haggadah.
Right.
So Vayaged Moshe la'Aharon. So Moses tells or recounts to Aaron. So we have the Vayaged Moshe tells us Moshe is the subject, Laharon, Aaron is the object. And the action is the telling. So Moses tells Aaron, call divrei Adonai.
What is the 8 there for?
The 8 tells us this is the direct object of the Yagading. So Aaron is the indirect object of the telling, and divrei is the direct object of the telling. This is what was told, and Aaron is to whom it was told.
Okay, so Moses, he told all the words to Aaron, like that.
Well, now that becomes the question. Davar remembers both word and thing. Daber is speaking, but Moses, remember, got a lot of stuff that wasn't just words. He got magic tricks. So one could translate it as Moses told Aaron, call divrei Adonai, all the things of God, or all the words of God. All the interaction between Moses and God. Asher shalacho, that he sent him. So this would seem to indicate this is Moses is telling Aaron what God, the mission God gave to Moses.
What is shalach?
Shalach, send out.
Oh, I see that.
Shalacho, sent him. And more direct object to the Vayaged, kol ha'otot, and all of the signs. So here then, the context would indicate that Moses tells Aaron all the words and all the signs.
Right.
And all the signs, asher tzivahu, that he commanded him. So all the words that God sent out with Moses, and all of the signs that God commanded Moses. It's interesting here again that the otot are tzivad. They're commanded signs. They're not just the told signs or the taught signs or the did signs. They're now the commanded signs. Ot, remember, is a sign. or a symbol. The word for Hebrew letter is an ot, because the Hebrew letters are simply signs or symbols of how to pronounce.
Where is that? I'm lost.
Thus, learning to read Hebrew is a matter of decoding the signs.
Yes.
29. Vayelech Moshe v'Aharon vayasfu et kol ziknei b'nei Yisrael. Vayelech is singular. The subject is plural. So Moses went and Aaron would be a better translation than Moses and Aaron went. Because then it would be Vayelchu Moshe v'Aharon. But Vayelech Moshe v'Aharon, we should really translate it as Moses went and Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
Then we get a plural, Vayasfu, and they gathered together. Asaf is gathering, adding on. Yosef, same word. But we get a lot of times when people die, they are gathered to their ancestors. And it's this word Asaf. So Vayasfu, and they gathered, Aaron and Moses. Et, again, the direct object of the gathering, Kol Ziknei B'nei Yisrael, all the elders of the sons of Israel.
Or children, right?
Well, or children of Israel, or Israelites, or Goshenites, or Goshen dwellers. But Ziknei Zaken literally means bearded ones.
I guess you're a Zigne.
In the Birkat Hamazon, in the blessing after the saying of the grace after meals, the blessings after saying meals, there's a line that says Na'ar Haiti v'gam zakanti.
So we should call you Rabbi Sam HaZikne.
No, Hazakan, the beard.
Hazakan.
Zakan.
Oh, that's the singular. That's the singular.
Yeah. But yeah, Na'ar is a beardless youth.
Stories all
Or
set up.
Ute.
You just need to
So
stick
Na'ar is,
What do you think of that? Nar Haiti Gamza Kanti. Like I mean, now I am old, but when I was young, do you say that you're both old and young?
well, I mean, I was younger and now I've grown older.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's interesting.
Na'ar
Okay.
also is not only a word that's a positive, a young one, but it also has some connotations negative, naive.
Oh,
A
That
nar is
one? The elder one?
in the song of the boy and the girl encountering one another. That is an old classic Yiddish song, and he asks her questions. And she answers the questions by saying, "Look, Nar, look, you naive little boy."
Is that when
So,
he's the dark one and she's the blonde one? Because we sang a lot of songs in Yiddish class and
uh-huh.
we sang some like that, where a young couple encounter
The
themselves.
song is Tumbalalaika.
Yeah.
Tumbalalaika.
Oh, I've heard that song.
yeah.
Tumbala, 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 like.
Yeah.
I think
Steta
that's one.
Bocher.
We know that
In
song.
the song Steta Bocher, a young man stands meditating, whom should I marry? Who will not shame me? And then he asks her a bunch of riddles, and her answer is not Bocher, but Nar.
Mhm.
In any case, the Zikne are the senators, which also comes
Ah,
from the Latin being old. So the elders of Israel, the old guys. And Vaydaber Aharon et kol hadvarim asher diber Adonai el Moshe. Vayas otot haotot le'enei ha'am. So they gather all of the elders of Israel together.
Mhm.
Vaydaber Aharon, and Aaron speaks to them. And what Aaron speaks is, again, et, the direct object. Kol hadavarim asher diber Adonai el Moshe. Aaron speaks to them all of the words that God spoke to Moses. So we don't have Moses, well, we do have Moses telling Aaron all the words, and apparently Aaron had a good memory. And immediately they gather everybody together, and Aaron recounts the words of God to Moses that Moses told to Aaron. So our chain of tradition is God says to Moses, Moses says to Aaron, Aaron says to the elders.
Is that because if he was shy, he had a stutter? Or was
All of those, all of the protesting that Moses has done, saying, I can't speak, don't send me, I don't want to. And God says, look, Moses, Aaron will be your mouthpiece, your spokesperson. Besides that, if I wanted you to speak, you'd speak, because who makes mouths work anyway? God says to Moses at one point. Therefore, why do we need Aaron in this story at all if God can make Moses speak, even if Moses doesn't think he can?
So why?
And in fact, for the next 40 years, Moses doesn't stop talking.
Yeah, why do you think that is?
Because this is the Aaron elevation story.
Oh, okay.
The red is the Aaron story. The blue is more of the Levite or Moses story. So we got to put Aaron into some level of in charge, but Aaron still has to be subservient to Moses.
What is hadavarim?
The words or the things. Again, all from that root diber, midaber, davar. So we bring the Aaron followers into the entire system by making Aaron then somewhat subservient to Moses. Whereas perhaps, and we have no way of knowing, there were an Aaron follower group, but the winners are the Moses follower group, but they can't get rid of the Aaron follower group. So they join the Aaron follower group story into the Moses story. So yeah, Aaron was a great leader, but only because Moses told him what to say. In Catherine's tradition, that happened to a guy by the name of John, whose followers were brought in. But we won't go there. Save that for a Sunday sermon for her to give to a congregation and see how they react. So the elders are gathered together, Aaron speaking to the elders, and then we get Vaya'as ha'otot le'enei ha'am, and he did the signs to the eyes of the people. And now we have a question, as always, who's doing the signs? Aaron is speaking on behalf of Moses. Is Aaron also magicking on behalf of Moses? Or is Aaron speaking and Moses is magicking? And you can translate the text of verse 30 either way.
So what was Vayas?
Vayas, and he did.
Oh, he did.
But we don't know who the he is. This seems to be a story of Aharon, but it's also the story of Moshe. So Aaron, if we read it as two separate phrases, Vaydaber Aharon et kol hadvarim asher diber Adonai el Moshe. Full stop. And Aaron spoke to the words of that Aaron spoke all the words that Moses had that God had spoken to Moses. Next sentence, Vaya'as ha'otot le'enei ha'am, and he, Moses, did then all the signs to the eyes of all the people. And now, is this the people or the elders? Or, and Aaron spoke all of the words that God had spoken to Moses, and then he did the signs for all the people. or for the people that were gathered, which is the elders.
Why do you think they left it unclear?
Because we have this whole issue of who's in charge, Moses or Aaron. Later, Aaron's going to be doing the signs, but that's to Pharaoh. And that's when Moses tells Aaron to do it. And then when it comes to the big signs, like splitting the sea, Moses takes the staff back.
Which word is eyes?
Ene, Enayim, the eyes of the people. Ene HaTexas. So in the sight of, we could also, really, he does all of the signs in the sight of the people, to the eyes of the people. And now, what happens? Aaron speaks the words God gave Moses that Moses gave to Aaron. Somebody does a bunch of these magic tricks. Vaya'amen ha'am. Vayishma'u ki fakad Adonai et b'nei Yisrael v'chi ra'a et onyam vayikdu vayishtachavu. Now, all of a sudden, we've got the elders gathered, and the next thing we know, it's the people, not le'enei hazikanim, or something like that, or le'enei ziknei Yisrael, but the people. And vaya'amen ha'am, and the people believed.
Believe
What?
What they said and what they showed.
Yep, sure, why not?
Do you
Well,
think
they
this is taking
believe-
place near Sinai? Again?
We have no idea. We know that Moses is heading towards Egypt. Aaron is heading towards Moses. Aaron gets to the mountain of the gods, and the next thing we know, the two of them are gathering all of the elders together. It's not likely that they went back to Goshen, gathered all the elders, brought them back up to the mountain of the gods.
What was Goshen is in Egypt?
Goshen is the west bank of the Nile River, or the east bank rather, the east bank of the Nile River.
But that was part of Egypt.
Yes,
Okay.
it's all Egyptian influence down there. Yeah, Goshen was the grazing land.
But I thought all the people were building the pyramids, they're building the cities.
Yeah, they brought them in from the grazing lands, put them to day laborers, and sent them back home.
On trucks, right?
Yeah. Well, it was the Goshen train, the Goshen Blue Line. So Aaron apparently speaks to the elders, and suddenly the signs are being done to all the people, and the first response is the people believed. Wow, that's never going to happen again.
No, it's happening every day. Every
Not
day, the
only did they
crazy stuff.
believe, by Vayishma'u, and they listened,
Oh, nice.
as opposed to the wandering in the wilderness story when Moses keeps yelling out, Shema Yisrael, listen up, you guys, your attention is wandering, you're not paying attention. But Vaya'amen ha'am vayishma'u, and the people believed and they listened. And why did they listen? Ki fagad Adonai et b'nei Yisrael. Because Adonai took note. Pakad is to take note of. It's to provide gifts, to connect with, somehow takes real notice. So Pakad et Adonai et b'nei Yisrael, the why the God has taken notice of the children of Israel, of the Israelites. V'chi ra'ah et onyam, and ra'ah is singular, and God again, this is Yud He Vav He, saw onyam their oni, their affliction. We say that on Passover, and we hold up the matzah and say, this is the bread of affliction. Lachma anya.
Nachma Anya.
Right. Wait,
That's this root, onya. Onya is affliction.
Yeah, yeah.
So the people hear what Moses had told Aaron, that God had told Moses. Somebody does a bunch of magic tricks. And the next thing is the people believe, listen, because they now know that God has taken note of them.
What is ra'ah?
Saw.
Saw?
God saw. God took note of them, and God saw onyam their affliction. Vayikdu, again, back to plural. So this is now the people. This is the stuff. The people then bow down, vayishtachavu, and prostrate themselves.
Can I ask a question about that on yam? That's not related to like anna. That's a different word than
This
to
is
answer.
anya, not ana.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Anya, affliction, anyam, their affliction.
And
So God
anya
saw
is
their
different than
affliction.
anna. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
God saw their affliction, and the people believed, listened, bowed down, and threw themselves on the ground. And this is all plural here.
Yeah.
What's interesting is the way it's worded. The thing is that, and why took notice of their affliction, is probably belongs way up ahead of this whole thing. Because why all of this happened because God saw their affliction and he talked to Moses, and then Moses talked to Aaron, and Aaron talked to the people. So that it's interesting that it's coming now versus before, saying God saw the affliction, and that's why he spoke to Moses.
Right. Well, but here it is now the people realize that God has seen their affliction.
So
So
you
this
think
is
that's
not
what it
God
is?
seeing. So way back when it would have been God saw, and then God did all this stuff.
Okay.
And now Moses and Aaron come and they go to the elders, and apparently the elders go to gather all the people, and the people see, believe, bow down, prostrate, because now they know that God has taken note of them
I
and
got it.
their affliction.
Okay. So it's because they see all these miracles that Aaron and Moses are doing that they
Right.
know God has now seen who they really are and how they're suffering.
Yeah, God has somehow taken note of them.
But
I see.
they haven't seen the miracles, right? They're told what is going to happen.
The
Is that right?
elders have seen it. They
Well,
just
we
showed
don't
it.
know who saw it because it says way back up here in the end of verse 30, Vaya'as ha'otot le'enei ha'am.
So they
And
did see it.
someone, did the signs in the eyes of no longer the ziknei, but the no longer
Yeah.
the elders, but the people.
Yeah. So the people
What are
saw
the
it.
so what are the signs? What is meant by the signs then?
The little snake out of the staff, the
The blood.
the blood of the water on the dry ground,
Mhm.
the white snow coming out from under his tunic.
So this is a preview.
White snow?
If you recall, God says to Moses, "Here, I'm going to teach you a few magic tricks.
Yes.
Right.
Put your hand in your shirt,
Yeah.
pull it out, and it was white flaky stuff.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then put it back in and take it out, and then the skin is all healed again.
Oh, so it wasn't snow. It was like
Dandruff.
it was a sort of disease or something.
It was
Yeah.
chest dandruff.
But that's not one of the plagues.
Well, but it's one of the signs.
It's a
Right.
sign. Yeah.
These are the signs. And here, suddenly the words are spoken to the elders, but the signs are done for the people.
Yeah.
Or they gather the elders, which was the end of verse 29. And we don't know who is the beginning of verse 30 addressed to. So 29 was Moses and Aaron and gathered the elders together. The next thing we know, Aaron is speaking the words of Moses that were the words of God and doing all of the signs, one of them, in the eyes of all the people. So they gather the elders, and between 29 and 30, we don't know what happened. Did they do this with the elders and then the people, or did they gather the elders and say to the elders, gather all the people? That's missing between verse 29 and verse 30. In verse 29, they're gathering the elders. In verse 30, they're doing it for the people. When you stage the play, you have to decide what to do between verse 29 and verse 30. Or you do it in the middle of verse 30 and have the word spoken to the elders, and the elders saying, oh my God, let's get everybody together. Let's do a magic show tonight at 7:00. Open seating for all. And then they do the magic tricks. So where is the break? And by the way, 29:30 is not a clue because those verses numbers are added later.
Oh.
In the Torah, this is one solid piece of text.
Oh.
So where do you divide it up? That becomes more trope. You'd have to go back and look at the trope and see where does the trope divide it up.
So who divided it?
Well, it depends on which divisions. The rabbis divide the parshiot. The later scholars divide the trope, and the later Christian world divides the chapters and verses. And the original scribe only divides the white spaces and the dark spaces. So where did we divide the text? Then the rabbis come along and say, well, our trope isn't really necessarily the only way. Let's punctuate it this way, and we now have a new story, a midrash. Or let's revocalize, and we have a new midrash. Because even the vowels are not in the Torah. So no vowels, no punctuation. In my old classic story, do we read it as keep off the grass, no trespassers allowed? Or do we read it as keep off the grass? No, trespassers allowed. Where do we put that Oxford comma and the punctuation?
Yeah.
Rabbi Sam, when I read it, I just thought there are so many positive human behaviors modeled on this page. You could just list them off, and they are quite different from what we've seen so frequently. Brothers get along, love each other, respect each other. There is humility on the part of Moshe. He doesn't mind, or it doesn't seem that he minds, giving up some of his leadership responsibilities, if you will. There's no contentiousness at all about accepting what Aaron has to say. It is just a very, to me, it's like a very loving, trusting, accepting, and respectful reading. That I kept thinking, wow, like nobody's angry, nobody's annoyed,
The
nobody's
people are all
fighting
getting
over-
along and believing.
Rhonda, I think that's a better way of thinking, because I think the other thing is that Moses just doesn't want to do that part, and he wants his brother to take over because he's the older guy, and he says, listen, you take that part, I'll do something else.
And Aaron could get in trouble. Aaron's the one who could get in trouble with the Pharaoh. Why
maybe.
should I?
Yeah. And actually, yes,
Get his head cut off.
all of that is available in the power and the beauty of the way that the Torah was put together, that we can read into it ourselves, which is really what Jewish tradition requires us to do. Is do you want to read this as Aaron is willing to take the risk as well as the grandeur? Is Moses afraid or is Moses willing to share? Does Moses know how to delegate? One can read it in all those different ways.
Yes.
And we will put this into contrast much later in the story of Korach, who says, I want the power that you have, but I don't want the responsibility or the humility. So is Aaron humble or proud? Is Moses humble or proud? And as Rhonda said, we can read human condition into it, which means we can make the answer yes. There's a little bit of each, and which is in play here, or which is their attempt? Is Moses now saying, look, yeah, I really can't handle all this. I'd rather be step back and let Aaron take it. And no, I won't throw him under the bus after doing that. Or is Moses, yes, I will if I need to. Is Moses seeking power? Is Moses willing to accept the power? All of those are in the story. And that's one of the powers of the lack of punctuation, as well as the ambiguity of the pronouns and the sparseness of the text, is you can read it as you want. And Rhonda will go out and do a motivation series on this particular text.
I knew Miss Rod.
And you can use the Torah that way. Unfortunately, you can also use the Torah the wrong way.
Yeah.
And that becomes sort of the later challenge is when are you using it for God's purposes and when are you using it for your own? When is the Torah a club that everyone is welcome into? And when is the Torah a club that you bash people over the head with?
That's the problem with a lot of religions, isn't it?
It's nice to know that the devil cites Torah as well as the other part.
I couldn't hear that, Catherine. What'd you say? It's nice to know what?
The devil cites scripture, all scripture, not just ours.
Often from a pulpit.
Yeah, and it's always for his own purposes, nicely.
Yes. In any case, that's this week. Wait till you see what happens next week.
Oh my God. I probably won't be here, but
Here's our preview for next week.
Slowly.
Yes.
5.
Okay, they've had great success. So now we are in chapter 5.
Very exciting.
Moses and Aaron have had great success with the people. And it's now on to Pharaoh. And that's what you'll be looking at next week.
did we have a lot of that with the Resh so much at the beginning like that?
Well, the achar and after.
But it's a Resh, isn't that?
No, it's a vav.
That's a
Look at
vav?
the difference
Oh.
between the first letter and the last letter.
Oh yeah, that's right. Thank you. Sorry.
So, but yes, we get a lot of this the achar
Yeah.
and after, which is not a very definite time frame. The achar, ba'u Moshe v'Aharon. And by the way, notice when we're in singular, when we're in plural, it was Moshe and Aaron. Now it's Moshe and Aaron came, plural. So you want to keep an eye on your number as well in your verbs. V'achar ba'u Moshe v'Aharon vayomru el paro ko amar Adonai Elohei Yisrael shalach et ami vayachogu li bamidbar. Verse 2. Vayomer paro mi Adonai asher eshma b'kolo l'shalach et Yisrael lo yadati et Adonai v'gam et Yisrael lo ashaleach. And just a reminder, you get your final ach rather than cha thrown in just for good reading practice. Verse 3. Vayomru Elohei ha'ivrim nikra aleinu nelchana derech shloshet yamim bamidbar vanizbecha ladonai Eloheinu pen yifga enu badever uvacharev. So badever o vecharev, our end of a statement, our end of a sentence. Vayomer alehem melech Mitzrayim, lama Moshe v'Aharon tafriu et ha'am mima asav. Again, yud not at the end of the word, silent. Lechu lesivlo techem. 5. Vayomer paro hen rabim ata am haaretz vahishbatem otam misivlotam. 6. Vayitzav paro bayom hahu et hanogsim ba'am ve'et shotrav lemor lo tosifun latet teven la'am lilbon halivenim kitmol shilshom hem yelchu v'koshu lahem teven. And notice, by the way, we did not get taven that we might have expected at the end of a sentence or a phrase. So when reading it, it's going to be Yelchu v'kosheshu lahem teven, and we're waiting for something else. And for that, you're going to have to wait 2 weeks.
Well, thank you, Rabbi.
So that is your work cut out for you. Some nice words to struggle over and practice reading next time. And might want to put it parallel to the text. Pharaoh's response, Moses to Pharaoh. And it's, again, notice Moses and Aaron equally here, which continues that theme of who is actually speaking, who's in charge. And we can look at it possibly from that idea of the elevation of Aaron to co-Moses, not subordinate to Moses.
Well, Rabbi, thank you. And listen, you should get going on the road now. We should let him leave because he has a ride.
I just wanted to tell you for a few minutes, this